Hey, welcome to Nugget Shooter Journals. I'm Bill Southern, and today we're sitting in the office. We're going to talk a little bit about detectors, I think. And I get a lot of questions about the Gold Monster 1000 because a lot of people see me using it an awful lot, and I get a lot of questions as a result of the videos I put out. And well, I got one right back here. Just a second. My detector collection back here. Okay. This is the Minelab Gold Monster 1000. And I absolutely love this VLF machine when the work I'm doing requires a VLF. Or if I just want to go out to a new spot prospecting, this can often be my go-to detector because it's lightweight and easy to maneuver around, and it does a very good job. This is actually the first machine to come out that actually has a microprocessor built into the machine. Pretty cool. And as a result, it was a little confusing at first for a lot of people because if you watch my videos, when you ground balance this little beast, you need to move it around a little bit and give it a sampling of the ground as opposed to ground balancing in one spot, and like you do with a lot of other detectors. And it's real simple to use. You've only got an on-off button. You've got your sensitivity up and down, a shallow or deep, which also works as a quick track button. And you have your volume. That's absolutely it. Comes with two coils, 5-inch coil, which I have on here. And it also comes with a 10x6 coil. Why the two different coils? That's a big question I get. And people are wanting me constantly to do comparisons between the two coils. The reality of it is there's plenty of comparisons out there. The smaller coil, you see me with it on the machine most of the times because I have more than one machine. All right, and I'm going to go into that in a minute. And I've covered this before a year or so ago and here and there, and I like to bring it up again because I feel it's very important on why I choose what machine I use to hunt. And like I said, if I'm in shallow ground, and by shallow I mean not this deep, okay? By shallow I'm talking about ground that's maybe a foot or less. I'm going to be using pulse induction in most cases, unless I'm looking for small gold close to the surface. I will be using a pulse induction machine that will reach deeper than a VLF machine to find nuggets that the VLF would not be able to hear because it's not simply not in its range. Bigger nuggets, the VLF machines will hear those quite deep. And depending on the soil, a 1-ounce nugget could easily be heard at well over a foot with a VLF detector. So when you hear people say, I'm using it for the shallower gold, don't be frightened in not using a VLF machine to hunt deeper gold because in many cases it'll work just fine unless the soil's deeper than the machine can actually reach. And all VLF machines are pretty much created equal in the depths that they'll achieve with bigger coils or smaller coils. And I don't know, I love the VLF. I really do. And I get people all the time telling me, well, why don't you just use a PI all the time or whatever? Well, to tell you the truth, my friends, a pulse induction detector and will hear small gold, and it will hear small gold to a little bit of depth depending on which machine you're using. A VLF is going to hear that smaller gold better and louder, and it's going to hear gold that you're not going to hear with a pulse induction machine. I do have the SDC 2300, and I use that machine a lot. It's a Minelab machine. It's a waterproof pulse induction machine, and it incorporates one of the newer pulse induction technologies called multi-period fast. And this machine is just really wound up, and it's pulsing and receiving at incredible speeds, which allows it to hear small gold at incredible depths. And it still will not hear that super tiny stuff that this one, the Gold Monster, will hear. And that's why I own both an SDC 2300 and a Gold Monster when I hunt small gold. Hot rocks, Well, the VLF's going to hear more hot rocks than pulse induction as a rule. And that's because of the nature of the beast. And this is one of those businesses or hobbies that when you get into it, you know, hopefully you're not one of those guys that watched a bunch of videos that's showing people just picking gold up out of sand or these huge nuggets just laying in a river somewhere or right out of the nice, soft, loamy dirt, because that's not how it rolls for us. And this is hard work, and you need more than one tool to do the job if you're going to be real serious about it. For the guys just going out once in a while and having a lot of fun, or you just want to use it along with your dry washer and stuff, having just one detector is fine. For me, my preferred type of hunting is with a metal detector. Yeah, I dry wash and do other stuff, but not very often. I prefer to get my gold in chunks, and though they may be little chunks or big chunks, and the big chunks are not as common as they used to be, my friends. We used to get quite a few big nuggets pretty regularly, and now you got to work a lot harder for them. Still lots of them out there, don't get me wrong, and a lot of it depends on the person, not the detector. And you got to remember one thing: it doesn't matter how expensive, how good, how pretty, how fancy, how shiny your metal detector is. If you don't get that metal detector over gold, you're not going to find any gold. And it's as simple as that. Gold isn't everywhere. And I can remember when I first started metal detector, I thought, you know, I watched these guys on TV and stuff, and this is way back in the 90s, early 90s. And I would watch these guys on TV and stuff, and I would think, man, that's the easiest thing in the world, just to go out there and swing the detector and find gold. You can just go anywhere. Okay, well, I didn't realize I was going to have to learn a little bit of geology and start learning about gold deposits and where the gold came from, how it got there, and whatnot, to be able to actually find it on a regular basis. Once I figured that out, I went after the research part of it full bore, and it's rewarded me many times. But anyway, back to metal detectors. To start out, I get people all the time calling me up, and they want to buy the best detector out there. And as a dealer, yes, I'm a dealer. I'm a Minelab dealer. I'm also sell Nugget, some other brands. I don't say that a lot in my videos because you're not here to be advertised to, I'm suspecting. Most people are here to learn or be entertained or watch stuff about gold because they might get into it. And so I don't advertise probably as much as I should. I get people telling me all the time, well, I would have bought from you, but I didn't know you were a dealer. Well, sorry. I say it now and then, and there's always a link in my description and stuff for, you know, stuff that I sell. But anyway, it doesn't matter how fancy the detector you buy and all that. And you still have to learn to get it over gold. So I always recommend to people, start out with something like this. These start in the $800 range, $900 range, I think $899 for this machine. And right now it's coming with a free lithium-ion battery, so you get two of them, which is a pretty good deal for Minelab through Christmas. And you start out with a machine in this range. It's sure a lot easier to choke down if you decide you don't like this or it's too hard for you. And you went out and bought this machine, which costs $8,000. Okay, that's the GPZ 7000 right there. That's Minelab's flagship. It's the best machine they make. A different technology altogether, zero voltage transmission. Okay, and a lot of people slip up and say zero voltage technology. That's not what it is. It's zero voltage transmission, and that refers to the machine's ability to send and receive at the same time. So it's sending out a pulse and receiving information back from that the prior pulse or another pulse at the same moment, which allows it to go really deep on small gold too. And I've heard gold small enough with it that I moved it around and had to have Tammy come over for the Gold Monster and actually find the piece of gold because I get it sideways or moved a little bit, and the GPZ can't pinpoint. So the $8,000 machine is a wonderful machine and everything, but if you buy that machine to start out, number one, it's what I call a specialty machine. It's for hunting deep ground, and it does very well at that. It goes to incredible depths. But for starting out, unless you have a place to go and you know what you're doing, that machine is probably not the best machine to start out with. And You start out with something that you can manage, that you can use, and like I said, I recommend a good VLF detector to do that. Now, there are other good ones out there. I mean, Fisher Goldbug 2 is a great machine. Problem is, the technology on it's 40 years old. It finds gold incredibly small, and there's people out there that wouldn't give up their Goldbug 2 to save their life. And I don't blame them. I had one for many, many years until I got a hold of one of these. And it has an edge. It does. It just simply is it hits louder. It has an edge. It has a double D coil, so it's better on mineralization. And it's a good machine. Okay, so anyway, I started out talking about this machine. And I get a lot of people asking about pinpointing with this. And you got some guys that are online telling you that it's hot all the way around the edge. Well, it's not. All right, if you try to pinpoint or find a target with this edge or this coil, you're not going to hear it very well. This is a double D coil. Okay, what that means is you've got two windings, one like this, shaped like the letter D, and another one over here, which leaves a little gap right here, runs right down the center of this coil, about as wide as that right there where the shaft goes in, and it comes all the way to the back. That's the hot point of the coil. So when I pinpoint, I tell people to pinpoint right here where the second part of the M comes down to the E and the L. That's where you pinpoint. Why? Because this is double D coil. If you try to pinpoint with the edge over here on a little tiny nugget, you're not going to hear it. Okay, you're just not going to hear it. And I'm going to demonstrate that here right now. I'm going to turn this thing on in my office, so hopefully it won't be too chattery for you. And we're going to have it in auto 1. And let's see if I got a jar of nuggets here, and I do. Okay, it's going to be a little chattery because we're inside. And I'm going to turn the volume up so you can hear it real good. And we're going to hold this coil right like this, okay? And I'm going to dig out a nugget. Put it on my book here. These are some I got recently. Let's see how this one sounds. Yeah. It's a piece of rock or what? Yeah, not loud enough for what I want to do here. Yeah. Some of these are pretty darn small that I find. I'm looking for the perfect nugget for this little example. And it's pretty important that you know what type of coil you have and how it works. Okay, hear that? Real hot right in the center. As you go toward the tip, not quite as hot, but you can still hear it. Toward the back, same thing. So it's the hottest right in this center here. Now look at here. These guys that are telling you to pinpoint with the edges, well, gee, guys, you'd be missing that gold. Look at there. All the way around the outside edge of that coil, you wouldn't hear that nugget. Okay, and that nugget is that big. It's a small nugget, okay? But, well, remember, we're inside with lights and stuff on, so this thing's not hearing as good as it normally would. But, no problem with that target right in the middle. But you get out here, it's not there. And I've seen people online telling you that you can go all the way around the outside edge of this and use it to pinpoint. They are wrong. I'm sorry, but they're just wrong. This machine is a double D. Again, you've got a winding going like this, and I could actually draw it on the bottom of this for you, I suppose. It wouldn't hurt my coil any. But when I say the winding, sorry about the extra noise. When I say the windings run in a D shape, they run kind of like, okay, and where I'm putting the X's is the hot spots. And the most hot spot is right there where I showed you where the E and the L come into the M. Right like that. Okay? Now, watch with this nugget again. You can hear it all the way to the tip, no problem. But, not till you get into here do you start hearing it. So, if you're having trouble pinpointing with the outside edges of this coil, that's normal. That's how the coil reacts. The hottest part of the coil is going to be right down the center and right where the, come out of here, right where the sticker with the E and the L meet that second part of that M. That's the hottest spot on this coil for pinpointing. It'll tell you basically right where your nugget is. All right. And I don't know if you can see all this gold there, but that's some of the gold I've gotten with the Gold Monster recently. We're going to see if we can get it back in the jar without spilling it all here. That's some pretty nice gold. Nice nuggies. Okay, they're back in the jar. Except that one. This is a good book too, by the way. This is a book a friend of mine, Alan, sent me. I just started reading it. Real good book. If you got access to this book, I recommend you read it. Very well written and very informative. But anyway, that's the truth about the coil on this machine. Now, the bigger coil for this machine is the same. It's a double D, so its windings are going to be very similar to the windings on this one. Okay? And another thing, I've said this before, but on some of the earlier machines, the center button does not also function as fast tracking. And I can do this by feel here. If I hold this button, push it and hold it, watch in the center here. See how it flashes? The little detector coil flashes. It goes into fast track there. So once you're balanced to an area already, you can push that little button in, it'll click, and it'll balance within just a few pumps as opposed to having to do the whole sample thing. We'll do it one more time here. You can audibly hear a click, and then it does that. Okay, I find myself just balancing the machine as I move along. I'm more of a, when I'm hunting, it's gonna make, I'm gonna shut it off so it doesn't make a lot of noise here, but I'm moving like, let's balance the machine over an area. I know you can't see the bottom of the machine, but as I'm moving along, if I move along 3 or 4 swings and I hear a little extra noise, I do a quick balance. And you could do it by pushing with your thumb and doing the fast track. And I already got used to the machine without the fast track, so it wasn't that big a deal to me. And I just pump, and it does just fine. Okay. And as far as the Gold Monster goes, it will hear gold smaller than any machine I've ever used. And that's just the actual truth. It's an amazing machine. The manual settings are very hot on it, and they work quite well if you can get it to balance. I prefer Auto 1 when I'm teaching people and showing them how to use the machine. It seems to work really well for them, and they get a quick grip on how the machine works and why it works like it does. And I use the bigger coil for deeper ground and then the little coil for hunting shallow bedrock and stuff like that. That's why you see me with a small coil on so often. Anyway, that's the Gold Monster. And like I said, I get a lot of questions on it, and I try to answer those in these videos because I promise people I will. And I don't know, as far as if you want me to recommend a VLF machine, it would be the Gold Monster. There's also been a couple other problems with it. Here and there, a machine will have a problem when you plug in the headphones. Right over here in this little jack, the speaker won't go off on the outside. And if your machine's doing that, it's not supposed to. All right, you should get a hold of Minelab and see what you can do to get that taken care of. Because when you plug the headphones in here, it should shut off the internal speaker. Unless you're using some types of headphone jacks. Now, a lot of guys want to use their 1/4-inch headphones because they like their whatever headphones they have. They got the 1/4-inch plug in as opposed to the 1/8-inch, which is what the Minelab comes with. And they use an adapter. Well, some of the adapters are either mono, stereo, or not the right adapter for the machine. Make sure you match the machine to the stripes on the plug-in of your headphones. Okay, if you get the wrong adapter and plug it in, it's going to allow the speaker to still work when you got your headphones plugged in, which can be irritating. And other than that, this machine's just the best out there, in my opinion, for VLS for hunting gold. If I'm not using this machine, I've moved to a Pulse Induction machine. And when do you know you need a pulse induction machine? When you're in areas and you're finding gold, and you're finding a lot of gold in an area where the soil's over a foot deep, it's a real good idea to go back over that with pulse induction, because you may be missing deeper gold. And there's the SDC and my GPX, and I got my Equinox up there, my GP 3500 that's been modded. And this is cool. This was sent to me by a friend recently, an old compass detector. You know, one of these days I may go out and actually fire up one of these and see how it does next to some of the modern stuff. But for right now, I just wanted to go over the Gold Monster a little bit with you there. And I had a lot of questions, like I said, and I was past due for doing another little gig on the Gold Monster and why I use it so much. So, hey, if you like these videos and you want to see more of them, and I will be doing a lot more, and like, subscribe, and hit that subscribe button right on the right-hand bottom side of your screen there, and you won't miss anything I put up. And for now, my friends, if you have any questions, give me a call. I'm always willing to answer. Oh, and somebody asked me about the scoops I use with the riffles in the bottom. There's one right there. It's got these cool little riffles, a little pocket that kind of holds the dirt, so it can be used for sampling or for recovering small nuggets when you're detecting. They're pretty cool. And I have those at my website, nuggetshooter.com, if you're interested at the store. But for now, my friends, Nugget Shooter out.